Churches of God, Letter 11. Joseph's Wedding and My Perceptions, January 18, 2009. Audio version. Dear brethren, my son Joseph's wedding with Janice Madrid was especially a joyous occasion to my particular observation, heightened by 4 insights or perceptions. 1. It led to my reconciliation with my wife, although she still clings to her faith to remain in the living Church of God. I will explain the details sometime in the future. Number 2. The wedding site, Club Punta, Fuego in Batangas, decked by placid open sea as background of the actual wedding, was my imagined haunt, quote-unquote, of our, that is 7 of us, Gloria, Lorna, Dodds, Joseph, Merrill, Bo, and myself, great-great-grandfather Juan Lozada, whom my great-grandmother Felipa Lozada Gonzalez described as the sailor from Acapulco, undoubtedly the father of our known and established ancestor, Pedro Lozada. Dr. Granville Hugh's webpage, quote-unquote, the Spanish patriots in the Philippines during Spain's war with England in 1779 to 1783, unquote, reinforced my conclusion in, quote, Family Tree Update Letter 2, Bowen Ezekiel Gonzalez Penili, and quote, that the sailor from Acapulco was the father of Pedro Lozada, and who came to the Philippines from the Iberian Peninsula. Dr. Hugh in his webpage stated, among other things, that the return trip of the galleon trade started from Manila, Acapulco, Veracruz, Mexico, and then to Havana, Cuba, before sailing out to Spain. The officers and sailors in the list contained in his webpage were of those serving or associated with the Maritime Office after the Spanish-English War, which ended in 1783. And although the lone Juan Lozada listed was a sergeant in infantry del Rey, the year was 1800, 17 years after the war, and therefore not among the military volunteers that came from Mexico. I don't have time to research again, but I came across a document that shows a law enacted during this year in the Philippines that forbids immigrants to the Philippines who are not Spaniards, very likely influenced by the Insulares Creoles discrimination. But why was Juan Lozada be called sailor from Acapulco? I think because the Spain, Havana, Veracruz, Acapulco, Manila galleon trade is no longer a monopoly. In 1800, and a sailor in this old road is distinguished from the sailors of the Royal Company, whose ships fly directly from Spain to Manila. Why is it that I am somewhat, quote-unquote, Ticayunes, repeatedly oriented to my Lozada lineage? Because my short work for God as information service for profit is boasted or made credible by the fact that the Lozada ancestors were Spanish Jews, and therefore the Jewish blood of Jesus Christ runs in my veins and in Filipino race. In the late 60s, a relatively young Dutch couple from the Netherlands visited our Philippine office, where I was supervisor of the mail department. Told me, actually his attractive wife, I look like an Indonesian Jew. Number 3, the presence of my elder sister, Gloria Ortegero, and younger sister, Luna Macaraig, and their husbands made my son's wedding ceremony symbolic of future reunification of the erstwhile churches of God under the roof of quote 1335 Church of God, end quote, which will originate in the Philippines. Number 4, the spiritual joy to hear my sister Gloria personally told me on this wedding. She and her husband, Minister Jeremiah Ortegero, came to rediscover the Sabbath is a true commandment of God. Brethren, the preceding facts, 4 in all, incidentally remind me of the number 4, known to me as a biblical number for completion or finality, as I explain in my information letters, 7 thunders. I would like to take advantage of my sister Gloria's statement by reviewing 1 Corinthians 5:11, where Paul commands the true church not to company or eat with a brother who had become fornicator, covetous, and of all things, drunkard. Read for yourself, brethren, the verse. Quote 1 Corinthians 5, verse 11, KJV. But now I have written unto you not to keep company, if any man that is called a brother be a fornicator, or covetous, or an idolater, or a railer, or a drunkard, or an extortioner, which such an one know not to eat. Which of the 2 great commandments, brethren? 1, love God above yourself, and 2, love your neighbor as yourself. In Matthew 22:37 to verse 40, do you think being a drunkard appertains or belongs? Since a drunkard can harm only his neighbor, most especially his wife, the law, do not be a drunkard, must belong to the second brood commandment, love your neighbor as yourself. My ultimate question is, if the true church is commanded in 1 Corinthians 5, verse 11, not to company or eat with a brother who is a drunkard, how much more a brother or brethren who deliberately breaks the Sabbath, which belongs to the first great commandment, love God above yourself? Of course, those who argue the Sabbath is a Jewish law do not know. 1, the Jewish state did not exist yet during the pronouncement of the 10 Commandments at Mount Sinai. Number 2, the 10 Commandments were spoken, not written, on 2 tables of stones at the beginning. Why am I stubborn in organizing 1335 Church of God, brethren? Because dark clouds loom over the United States economy, signaling the Great Tribulation is at the doorsteps. Until next time, Franklin 1335.